Zero motivation. We've all been there. Sometimes taking the steps to achieve your wellness goals, like making the foods that support your goals or getting your workout in, can just feel like a little too much. Perhaps you're in a bit of a motivation rut and you're just trying to figure out how to get out of it. I've been there too. I think all of us have been there at some point, and it can be really frustrating, especially if you have some type of wellness goal that you really want to achieve. A few weeks ago in my weekly newsletter, I shared my top strategies on how I personally get out of a motivational rut, and it's something that you guys really like, so I wanted to expand on that so that I can show you what I specifically do so that you guys can get out of whatever motivational rut you're in and start achieving your wellness goals. Now, if you are new to my channel, my name's Autumn and I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's in nutrition human performance. On my channel, I'm typically talking about the science-backed and holistic methods that you can use in order to achieve your wellness dreams. So if you have a wellness goal in mind, make sure you subscribe. Well, the first very important factor I found for breaking through some type of motivational plateau or dip in motivation is identifying stressors. I found that a lack of motivation sometimes has nothing to do with my actual wellness goals at all. Sometimes I found that perhaps I'm just feeling a little stressed or overwhelmed in life in general, and that my motivation for my wellness goals just gets pushed to the back of my mind. Now, the first thing I do whenever I'm just not feeling it or motivation is really low is I try and ID if I have any of these stressors and pinpoint what those are. Now, sometimes this can take a little bit of digging, and sometimes we don't always have control over reducing the stressors that are in our life. But first, identifying them and then also identifying the stressors that you have control over is the first step for making sure that we can get back on track with our motivation for our wellness goals. And depending on the stressors, you may have total control or zero control over them. But regardless, it's important to control what we can. For myself personally, this is why I created my cortisol balancing morning routine. I found that this helps me to get ahead of those stressors from the start of the day by not creating more stress in the morning for yourself than you have to, and by putting yourself in that right mental headspace at the start of the day. It can really help just lower your stress or help you to respond better to stressors later in the day. And this is especially important if you do have a lot of those stressors that are out of your control. And recently I shared a step-by-step of my own cortisol balancing morning routine, so if you want to check that out and what you can do, I'll have it linked right here and down the description below. Okay, the second step is to eat something different. Food fatigue is a huge damper to motivation. I see it with myself, I see it with my clients, I see it with AM peeps. It is a very common factor to zero motivation. If you're eating the same thing every single day, you're not switching up your meals, this can make it so that you get really tired and really bored of what you're eating. And this in itself just drains your motivation. And this is why meal prepping or meal planning can sometimes be a really big motivational buster for a lot of people, sometimes myself included. I like to still make a plan for myself of what I'm going to eat during the week, but I make sure that each of my dinners is a different meal. That way I'm not getting food fatigue from eating the same thing for dinner every single night. And if there are days where I just don't feel like what I've planned, I'll either swap days or I'll try and get creative with the ingredients that I do have from that meal that I was going to make. And even just switching up the flavors or the sauces that you're using for whatever you were going to make can make a big difference. I mean, you could have the same ingredients of some type of protein and vegetables and have it be a refreshing pesto bowl or a spicy miso bowl depending on what flavors you're feeling like, and you're only changing the sauce. I mean, this is why in my complete intermittent fasting bundled protocols or in the recipe section, I have those different sauce recipes, because this is something a trick that I use for myself all the time. I mean, some examples of course are pesto or tahini or miso. Those are all different ways that you can incorporate different sauces and get completely different types of meals with essentially the same ingredients. Another thing I like to do when I'm planning my weekly meals is also to just get inspiration from different cookbooks or different recipe shows. I then take the basic idea of those different recipes that seem really inspiring to me, and I'll just match them up with my AN nutrient timing that's in the complete intermittent fasting bundle in order to make a meal that I actually really like and that's different and that's just inspiring again. Because being excited about your food is such human nature, and it's something that can really help to boost your motivation. I know there are some people who are just not foodies and this doesn't apply to them, but I also know that there are a lot of people who are. So this is something that you can implement if you are someone who loves food and loves to switch up your meals in order to help boost your motivation. And the third strategy that I use is to set a goal. Trying to work towards something that you don't actually have a goal for can really drain your motivation because you don't really know if you've ever accomplished it. It's like wandering aimlessly. If you don't have some type of specific goal, this can really drain your motivation. Having a goal can just help to keep us accountable and therefore also let us know where we're going so that we can re-energize our motivation. And there are a ton of ways to approach how you set a goal. It could be some type of athletic goal and training for a 5K or your first sprint triathlon, and making sure that you're having all the proper nutrients in order to support that goal along with your training program. That in itself can be a really great goal. Or you could challenge yourself to walking 30 to 60 minutes every single day for the next 30 days. Or there could be the quality of life type of goals, like reducing bloating or constantly getting your energy levels to an 8 out of 10 versus a 4 out of 10 every day. Or maybe even a health goal of improving your triglycerides or getting your blood glucose levels to a healthy range. And the important thing is, whatever goal you choose is to make sure that it's something that actually excites you. Your goal does not have to be the same as someone else's either. Just set the goal and then figure out how you're going to accomplish it, what steps you need to take. And if you do have the complete intermittent fasting bundle, I have that contingency plan that I definitely recommend that you go through in order to help yourself achieve that goal when you're planning. I believe it's on page 41 of the Level Up Guide. And if you are looking for a new recipe to test out and you haven't tested out the Chia Brekkie Bowl, make sure you test that out right here. AM peeps are loving this one lately. Also, if you're new to my channel and you love this science-backed information, make sure you subscribe right here. I come out with new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video.